With tears streaming down her already flushed face, Stephanie Duran drove towards her apartment. It was the one that she shared with her fiancé. She was partially blinded as the moisture from her tears clouded her vision, and her heart almost beat out of her chest as she sped around a corner, the rear end of the car fishtailing and the tail of her Camry almost sliding into a ditch. The rain pouring down was more than her wipers could keep up with. Stephanie's mind was filled with anguish as she made her way closer to the apartment and the uncertainty that was waiting for her. She was afraid the anonymous person that called her work was telling the truth, and she was hoping they were wrong. "Please, God," she said aloud, "don't let this be happening." Stephanie pulled into the complex and found a parking spot out of sight of her apartment. She glanced at the rows of buildings, 3 stories high and units as far as she could see. Hers was on the top level. She dashed through the rain, trying to avoid the numerous puddles, took a moment to compose herself, and made her way up the stairs. The sound of the rain masked her footsteps. She hesitated on the landing, just outside her door. If she was wrong, she was going to look like an idiot. Stephanie decided to take that chance. Her hands trembled as she slowly slipped her key into the lock and unlocked the door. She listened, but heard nothing. Deciding there was no reason to put off the inevitable, Stephanie pushed open the door and stepped inside. Her soaked clothes dripped water onto the tile entryway, forming a small puddle. Visually scanning the living room, she noticed it was uninhabited. The stereo was on low, playing a Michael Bolton tune. Leaving wet footprints on the carpet, she walked to the back of their 2-bedroom apartment, where the master bedroom was located. She leaned her ear against the door and listened. Nothing. Stephanie grabbed the door handle and opened the door slowly while stepping into the room. Again, she found nothing. Maybe the caller was wrong after all. It was then she heard voices and the water running in the bathroom. Stephanie hesitated for a minute, wondering what she was going to do and what she was going to say. While she paused, she lost all nervousness and anger took its place. She fought to keep control of her emotions and took a deep breath before pushing the bathroom door open. The steam was thick, and for the second time that day she was momentarily blinded, until the cooler air from the bedroom pulled some of the steam out in swirls. Stephanie could make out 2 bodies behind the distorted glass door of the shower. She could see enough to know that one of the bodies was female. She could also hear giggling as they washed each other's not-so-unfamiliar body parts. Her heart sank as she walked over and yanked open the shower door. The sight that greeted her eyes was something she'd never forget. Her fiancé, Jeff, had a look of shock on his face, like a kid being caught watching cartoons in the middle of the night. She ran her eyes down his body and noticed he had an erection. Switching her gaze to the girl, Stephanie realized that she didn't recognize her. She was blonde, but clearly not a natural blonde, Stephanie noticed. The girl had high cheekbones, long hair, and a thin waist, but she wasn't going to show up on the pages of Playboy anytime soon. She wondered why Jeff would want to cheat with her. After all, Stephanie was quite the looker herself, and she gave Jeff the best of her when it came to their relationship. Finally, breaking the awful silence that stood between them like a curtain, Stephanie spoke. "Listen, homewrecker," she said to the girl. "If you're going to be letting him poke you with that little thing, you should probably do it somewhere else. I don't appreciate you doing it here. Also, I hope you have your own place, because it looks like you have a new roommate. You were made for each other."